The bass and the rain have dropped in Atlanta, Georgia. It's a cold, rainy Friday morning. Soccer down here, Friday edition, getting ready for Decision Day, final day of the MLS regular season. Every match has something on the line. That's about as good as you can get if you're the schedule makers back in, January, December of last year. Every match means something. A few teams are eliminated, yes, but they will be playing the role of spoiler potentially. It's going to be a wild decision day across the league, and we'll try to get you ready for that, as well as Atlanta and Toronto with Doug Roberson of the AJC. I'm Jason Longshore. John Nelson is here. Jarrett Smith is here. Jarrett Smith is on his way to training, talking to a couple players, but most importantly, after the week that we've had, talking to Tata Martino. This will be his first media availability since the announcement came out on Tuesday that he will not be extending his contract with Atlanta United. So I'm sure there will be a few people at training this morning. Doug Roberson will be there as well. So it's a big weekend, guys. It's a big day on Sunday for the league. When you look at the playoff picture as it's currently constructed, Atlanta and the New York Red Bulls would have your byes in the East. You would see the third-seeded NYCFC host Columbus Crew. Philadelphia, the 4-seed, would host DC United. Out West, Sporting Kansas City and LAFC are your two byes. Third-seeded Dallas would host RSL, who is hoping and praying for a Galaxy slip-up. And Seattle would host Portland. All of that's in flux. Outside of a few things, Atlanta and the Red Bulls will get the bye. We don't know the order they'll be in. Sporting Kansas City, LAFC, Dallas, that one's all over the place. 3 through 6 can move around in the East. 3 through 6 can move around the West. There's a lot of stuff still to be decided, John.
I think that is the official term, that there is a lot of stuff that is to be decided. You know, when you have 7 teams for 6 spots in both conferences. Now, how do they determine the schedule? Is this the one where the family sits in the room and they just kind of plot things out over a big board?
I don't know what family you're talking about.
Now, there was one sport that I can't remember off the top of my head, and it might be the NHL, where there's a husband and wife, and they sit in a room, and they plot out the entire schedule, and they're the ones who are the official schedule makers of this particular league. I want to say it's the NHL. But
yeah, I've never heard of anything like that.
Done it. I've heard of it. Yeah, no, John's right. I've heard of this. I'm backing up John on this.
Right.
It sounds like something that baseball would have done in like the 1920s, where they pulled some couple off of their poor farm in Oklahoma. Said, make a schedule for us.
Yeah, that's kind of where my head was at.
Yeah, so I think the NHL has a husband and wife duo that plots out the entire schedule. And
a couple Upton Moncton.
Yes.
Probably pull them off the shoreline and, hey, make a schedule for us, please. Don't worry, we moved every team around. We don't know what regions are anymore.
Nope. And we'll figure out the team in the East, we'll put them in the West. You know, yeah, Nashville, we'll put you in the Western Conference. But no, I think that you could not have asked for a better decision day where everything. Now, let me ask you guys this. I know where Jason's going to be. And how are you going to, I'm going to ask the both of you this. When it comes to all of the matches that matter, how are you going to be watching all of said matches that matter on Sunday? How many devices will you have up and running on Sunday at any given time to keep an eye on everything?
Well, Jared will have to figure that out for himself. I'll have one match, like, literally in front of me that I'll have to pay the most attention to. I will probably have a screen. Actually, no, I won't. Like, I was thinking about this. It was a little different last Sunday where Philadelphia defeating the Red Bulls was actually a legitimate possibility. Orlando doing anything at Red Bull Arena is not a legitimate possibility. So I'm not going to be watching that game. It doesn't matter. Depending on what happens in Toronto, I might start peeking in on it if things get a little dicey. But this is Atlanta's supporter shield to lose. And game watching in Red Bull Arena shouldn't have anything to do with it. So I'll be keeping up with what's going on out west, what's going on with the 6th seed, what's going on with the movement in the rest of the Eastern Conference. But I don't think I'm going to be watching specifically that New York game because it doesn't have an effect on Atlanta's Supporters Shield race. It has none unless Atlanta allows it to have an effect.
I'd be entertained. I'll probably keep an eye on the weather on the horizon on that one, just to see what Orlando does. How many goals does Orlando ship out on that game?
The scoreboard up. Yeah, I won't be watching the game itself. No.
I just want to see that number kind of do the thing like it did in Space Jam, where the Monstars number just kept going to a point where it just like read, this is pretty one-sided. Because if that thing gets to like halftime at 0-0, I'll be like, I'm sorry, what? I'm not going to be watching probably. First of all, I'm at the station Sunday morning and afternoon. I'm going to be hightailing it home to actually watch the game. Like, I'm going to be fighting through the city of Atlanta's traffic hordes just to make it in the first place to watch Atlanta play, much less anybody else. Otherwise, Twitter is your best friend in these situations.
Well, if you're in Atlanta, there's another set of best friends that you can listen to as you're hightailing at home.
Well, there's that too, but I mean...
Of course. And we will keep you posted on everything going on. That was something, it struck me kind of bouncing around some of the other radio broadcasts last weekend with it being like a mini decision day. I don't know. I feel like you kind of have to talk about what's going on across the board. I mean, of course, your focus is the game in front of you, but it's a huge day for the league. And I think if you're not telling that whole story of, wow, okay, there's a goal in Montreal now. Now they're putting pressure on Columbus. And, Columbus just dropped points to Orlando. If you're not telling that whole story, I feel like you're missing out. And some of the other team broadcasts were very focused on the game in front of them. That's not how Mike and I will do it. I can tell you that much. We will be obviously calling the Atlanta-Toronto game, but we'll keep you updated on everything else because it's part of the day. It's part of the story. I think it's what makes Decision Day so unique. And, this was an idea that the league had a few years ago. I think people kind of wondered how it would go over. You've had some interesting bits of drama on Decision Day. And I think this one, with every game having something on the line, could be the most dramatic Decision Day we've seen in the league.
MLS doing Decision Day like this is the best last day of sport for any American league. Any major sports league in the United States, MLS does it best with everyone playing at the same time. You're not always going to have people with skin in the game. It's working out beautifully this year. If I could stow away in luggage, I would stow away in y'all's luggage and go to Toronto. And then I would build a little magnetic board of the top 6 and just sit in front of y'all and move it around as the updates rolled in.
I don't have luggage that large, Jarrett. I'm sorry.
Conti said the same thing.
Yeah, it's that would take a Herculean effort. Maybe you could stow away on the team's luggage. I think they have large equipment bags.
That'll work.
I found my answer.
Creativity is great. What's up?
Okay, John has an answer.
And Jacob Austin backs me up on this.
Oh,
Henry
nice.
and Holly Stevenson, a husband and wife duo from 1981 to 2006, had a computer program that created MLB's schedule for 2,430 games by 30 teams in 180 days. And apparently there was also an ESPN 30 for 30 on the husband and wife team.
Wow.
There should be.
I've never seen that 30 for 30. Maybe it was a short or something. I've never seen that whole one. That's really cool. And it's not from 1920, so props to you.
And then MLB has opted for randomization software, so the Stevensons no longer put the MLB schedule together.
Well, because the Stevensons' Commodore 64 finally kicked the bucket.
CompuServe email?
No, I think that kicked the bucket a long time ago. But that Commodore 64 was kicking for a long time, and it had some unique programs that you couldn't replicate until 2006, I guess.
They did it with a pencil and paper before they put it to computer.
Wow. Crazy. I don't think MLS does that. But it worked out this time, and it's quite interesting. Getting close to our first break, but I want to drop a couple of quotes on you guys. This is from the Major League Soccer official preview at MLSsoccer.com of Atlanta and Toronto. Greg Vanney with a couple comments you would expect ahead of this match. I brought it up today with the guys. It's about finding purpose and meaning. Our last season has to matter. The fact we got to 69 points. We don't control what happens in the Red Bulls game. They may or may not get beyond it, but we do control against Atlanta. Eric Zavaleta kicks it up a notch. We don't want to lose on our home field to anybody. Them being on 69 points is an extra little motivation. Them being a team that we don't like trying to win the Shield on our home field is extra motivation.
Wait, what did we do to them?
I don't know.
Is it just the fight?
Oh, no, here you go. Here you go. This is after discussing what happened in August at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Greg Vanney says, there are a lot of things that add fuel to this game. It starts with respect. They have a good team, good players. We have a good team, good players. Both teams have been able to hurt the other team. Both have had a hard time stopping the other. Last year, we went on the run we did, set the points, had the results that we had, the championships and all that. That's something that they're chasing in their way this year. They've got a big, interesting fan base. We have a great fan base. When two teams have been at the top, there is a natural rivalry that exists. And there have been some interesting moments along the way. And they mentioned before that quote, the whole thing at the end with Chris Mavinga being sent off, everybody being upset at the end of the match in August at the Benz. Zavaleta said this to wrap everything up. It's two clubs that over the last 2 years have been towards the top of MLS. We went to their home field and broke a record last year. I don't think they liked that. There is a mutual respect, and with that comes a mutual dislike. We're in each other's way. We're not this year, but in the current moment of them winning the Supporters' Shield, of them breaking a record, we're going to do everything we can to stop them. And Gwen's already fired up about Toronto. Well, she doesn't agree with Zavaleta trying to stop them. She agrees that it's a rivalry and it's a healthy respect and there's a mutual dislike.
Yes.
That's what she agrees with.
Gwen's 10 pounds worth of fired up about decision day.
Yeah, there's stuff going on. People walking around, making noises outside. Gwen's going to make sure that they know that she's here. It's what happens.
So, healthy dislike.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's absolutely fair. I love the quote from Zavaleta, we're in each other's way. And I think that sums it up. Toronto became the class of the league over the last couple of years. And they did it by raising the stakes. They spent a lot of money. They brought in big-name players. They developed some players along the way as well. They had success in CONCACAF, even if they didn't raise the big trophy. But they have set the bar. Well, Atlanta United's trying to blow past that bar. So, yeah, they're in each other's way. That makes total sense. That's a great way to put it.
And a big, interesting fan base?
I mean, sure, yeah. Atlanta has a big, interesting fan base. I would totally agree with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You trying to find something to twist on Greg Vanney?
Yeah.
I think you're reaching.
I'll go ahead and say it.
I think you're reaching. They've got a big, interesting fan base. We have a great fan base. I don't think there's anything there. I don't think any manufactured drama is needed with this one.
No manufactured drama. Not at all. No, I think that Toronto, if they have their testicular fortitude meter ready to go, then it will be the matchup that both Vanney and the players want from the Toronto side.
Yeah, the thing that I always say about games like this is Toronto lately has looked like a broken team, and with these extra bits of motivation, they're going to come out a house of fire at the beginning. But can they sustain that based off the way they've played lately? You'd have to say no. So the longer this goes with Toronto not seeing the ball, not getting chances, being controlled by Atlanta, I think the more they shut down. So, an early goal is always the best way to handle it, but the more control of the match Atlanta can take early, the better off they'll be. If Toronto gets an early goal, it's going to be a dogfight till the final whistle. And that's what you don't want here. You want to take care of business early. You want to put that pressure over on everybody else. I mean, Atlanta can just take care of their own business and handle it. They don't have to scoreboard watch. They don't have to deal with that. But there's a responsibility with that. And that responsibility is winning the game in front of you against the team that currently has their name next to that record. Not going to be easy.
Nope.
We're going to take a break.
And, yes.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinski and Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here, October 26th edition. Getting ready for Decision Day. And the big match on Decision Day is the Western Conference decider in Kansas City. You look at the standings right now. Number 1, Sporting Kansas City on 59 points. Number 2, LAFC on 57 points. They're tied with FC Dallas. They do hold the tiebreak on goal differential. LAFC goes to Kansas City. We've talked about it all year. LAFC's had a great first season. They've reached 57 points. They earned more than Atlanta did last year. They haven't really beaten anybody all year. Does that change in Kansas City, in your opinion, John?
Nope.
I don't think
Short
so
answer.
either. I don't think so. I think Kansas City found themselves last week in Dallas. I think they laid down the gauntlet for the Western Conference and said, come and get us. LAFC, if they're able to get a draw here, I think it's a big statement. I really do. But I don't know. I don't know if they can do that. I think Kansas City is just a more balanced team. And with the increased offense that Kansas City has compared to last year, along with a very good backline and a very good goalkeeper, this is an MLS Cup contender. I really think they are, and I think they're the favorite out of the Western Conference, and I do think they take the conference title here with a win.
I agree, and I'm feverishly sitting here trying to do math and figure out what I think the West is going to end up being like.
Well, just mark down what we're predicting here, and then you can figure it out. So Kansas City, I think we're both in agreement that they win. They get to 62 points. They win the Western Conference, no questions asked. Yep. Dallas is the next one to look at. They go to Colorado. Any chance of a slip-up here?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, all they're going to have, if LAFC loses, all Dallas needs is a draw. I think they get a win against Colorado, who's been just bad.
Bad.
So a Dallas win would put them on 60 points, and that would guarantee them the second spot. Then you start to look at it, and it gets interesting. So, okay, that means our predictions out of teams that matter would have Kansas City on 62, Dallas on 60, LAFC on 57. Next, you look at the Seattle Sounders. They host San Jose. Do we even need to ask?
No.
3 points for the Sounders. Okay, so that means they're on 59. That means LAFC has fallen to 4. Okay, we're not done yet. Portland. They go to Vancouver. Now the Whitecaps are eliminated. But does Portland get the full 3 points in the Alphonso Davies farewell match?
See, this was the one where I was trying to think which Vancouver was going to show up, and I think that Portland gets full points here.
Okay. Well, that would put them on 57. That would put them equal with LAFC. It would take a massive swing. I mean, right now there's a 10-goal differential on goal differential, so I don't think that's happening.
Nope.
So then that would mean LAFC is your 4, Portland is your 5 on 57 points. And then the big question, it's LA Galaxy hosting Houston Dynamo. Do the Dynamo pull an upset here?
No, just because of their road form traditionally, I just don't see it. So Galaxy would hopscotch Real Salt Lake, and Petke throws sweaters and printers.
I think he already threw them. I don't think there's going to be any more throwing. I think he knows what their fate is. So then, according to that, it would mean your Western Conference playoffs would be Sporting Kansas City and Dallas as your top 2. It meant Seattle would move into the 3, and they would host the Galaxy, and LAFC would host Portland in the knockout round.
Ooh.
That is according to our predictions, and Portland has kind of owned LAFC this season. And the Galaxy going to Seattle, that's an interesting one. Seattle has typically struggled against the Galaxy. Siggy Schmid was constantly outmaneuvered by Bruce Arena. Well, now things have flipped all the way around. It's Dom Kinnear and Brian Schmetzer. I don't know if that's a guaranteed Seattle advancement. I think they should do it, and they should do it fairly comfortably, but the Galaxy ride the momentum in the first leg at home and put up some goals. That could be an interesting one.
And especially with the lack of a desire of a particular individual to play on turf, having to play on turf, you would assume he would play on turf.
There's no question situation. He's playing on turf. There's no question about that. He's not going to be able to get away with not playing on turf. He played in Minnesota, so he's going to play in Seattle on turf. There's zero question about that. All right, let's move Eastern Conference. We'll start from the bottom side of it. So Montreal, they go to New England. 3 points for the Impact?
3 points
in
for
New England?
Impact.
Okay. That's an interesting one. All right. I think they should get 3 points.
They should. I mean, just New England, you just sit there and you go, eh.
Yeah, it's been bad lately, but Montreal hasn't been great on the road. But this is the biggest game of Remy Gard's season. I think Remy Gard's back regardless. I think so too. I don't think there's a concern of him losing his job, but okay, I can roll with that. Montreal gets the win. They go to 49 points. Then you look at Columbus. They host Minnesota. The pressure's kicking in on the Crew after a bad loss in Orlando. Minnesota is horrific on the road, 1-13-2. Any chance here that the Crew slip up and don't get full points? Because if Montreal wins, the Crew have to win to move on. They would not be able to do it with a draw because Montreal would have more wins on the season.
I've got to go with Columbus here just because of the horrific road form of the Loons.
Yeah, I do too. If it was anybody else, I mean, literally almost anybody else in the league, I would probably say that Columbus is in some trouble here, maybe except for Houston. But Minnesota is so bad on the road, and they finished so poorly with back-to-back losses at home. I don't think they have anything to challenge Columbus with. So Columbus gets in then as the 6 because they would be on 51. Well, maybe not. They could actually move up. So then we move up the table. DC United at Chicago. we saw a Chicago team that didn't look so bad last weekend. We saw a Chicago team that battled, had a little bit of danger in the midfield, and this is a Chicago Fire team that, according to Jose Luis Sanchez Pando of the Chicago Tribune, they have 4 guys under contract for next season.
Yeesh.
4. That's a lot of guys playing for contracts, and I'm sure a lot of guys are on options. So let's not freak out here completely. They have Richard Sanchez, Dax McCarty, Alexander Katai, Nemanja Nikolic that are under contract, guaranteed to be back in Chicago next year. Veljko Paunovic not guaranteed to be back. What's that?
So that's a good start up top.
Well, that's a good core, period. That's McCarty, Katai, Nikolic is a good core in any team. But This could be Veljko Paunovic's last game. This could be Bastian Schweinsteiger's last game. I think Chicago is going to have something to play for here because of all that. And I think they're going to make it difficult for DC. DC is 1-9-6 on the road. I'm thinking draw.
Yeah, and that's the only reason I'm thinking draw is just because of DC with the run-in, all the games. Yeah, they were at home, but now you're out on the road where you're just not very good this season, period. So I will give the Fire the benefit of the doubt here and go with only 1 point for DC United.
Yeah, so that would put DC on 51. They would have the tiebreak on Columbus due to a much better goal differential. So you would expect it to be DC 5, Columbus 6 on 51 points. But then we have to look at the Philadelphia Union, who are currently on 50. The Union go to NYCFC, who is currently in 3rd. Right now, NYC hosts, Philadelphia hosts playoff games. But, as we've talked about, DC United could jump into one of those spots. Columbus could even jump into one of those spots. What do you see at Yankee Stadium between NYC and Philadelphia?
A draw because of that futsal pitch in the Bronx. I see a draw creeping out of that one. So you'd have 3 teams at 51 points.
So a draw would mean NYC is locked into the 3 spot. A draw would mean if that happens, if these results happen, and that draw happens, let's see, Philadelphia would hold on to the 4 because of more wins, and DC would be the 5, Columbus would be the 6. So everything would stay the same according to those predictions. It'd be NYC hosting Columbus in a knockout round, Philadelphia hosting DC. But there's a lot of wiggle room here because of a lot of tight games in the Eastern Conference. With DC and Chicago, which is a little tricky, Philadelphia, New York City, you could see lots of different things happen in terms of the maneuvering in the East.
And so let's just say that DC gets the Duke and gets full points in Chicago. Recent form, you could sit there and say, yeah, okay. So then DC would end up with all of the other results. DC would then be the 4 at 53 points, and then Philadelphia and Columbus would be at 51.
Correct. DC can get to the 4. They can't get to the 3 because NYC has more wins. Well, actually, no. No, I think they could.
15. Yeah,
I think they could.
If they beat Chicago, they're now at 15 wins, and if NYCFC draws, they're still at 15.
Well, if they draw, no. I'm looking to see if there's any way DC could get to 3, and they couldn't because if NYC drops full points to stay on 53, that would mean Philadelphia wins, and Philadelphia would have the wins tiebreak. Yeah. So DC can get to the 4, they can host the knockout round, but that's as far as they can go. NYC could fall out of the top 2 knockout round spots and go on the road in the knockout round. So the Eastern Conference is a little bonkers. It's a little wacky.
Crazy nuts banana pants, as the kids say.
No kids say that, John. No kids say that at all.
They don't?
I've never heard a kid say that.
Crazy nuts banana pants.
I've never heard one kid say that.
Well, now you have.
You're not a kid either. I'm not a kid.
It's a number on a driver's license, my friend.
I didn't say you were old. I just said you're not a kid. That's a big difference. All right. Atlanta and Red Bulls before we go to break.
Yep.
We'll get into our prediction for Atlanta in a minute. But New York Red Bulls, they're hosting Orlando. I mean,
no.
I mean, yeah, nothing's happening here. So Orlando's given up 73 goals. What does that number end up at?
76.
You think they give up 3-0 or 3-1? Yeah. You think they steal one?
No, I'm going to go completely negative here. Make it 3-0.
Yeah, I'm thinking more like 4-0. It's going to be ugly. So no help from Orlando. Red Bulls would then be on 71. They would be potentially the best team in MLS regular season history. We will talk about the Atlanta-Toronto game as we go. Doug Roberson will join us at 10:30 as we make our official predictions for that one. You can make your predictions by following Josh Bailey and chiming in on the Bailey Daily poll. It's up on Twitter. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. If you have questions about Atlanta-Toronto, if you have questions about Decision Day, send them our way on Twitter at Soccer Down Here. We'll get into them as we go this morning. Stay with us.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Appolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Appolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here, October 26th edition. The rain continues to pour down on a cold Friday morning in Atlanta. It's a cold Friday morning in Marietta at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. And Doug Roberson tweets that Miguel Almiron is working out in cold and rain. Maybe a little bit of that. I don't know. Or maybe your montage music from Rocky IV in Siberia. It's not quite that cold. Well, it's not that cold.
Otherwise known as Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Yeah. I don't want to give it that. It's not quite that cold. But Miguel Almiron not ruled out yet for Sunday. Tito Villalba is expected to be back. We'll see what happens with everything as Tata Martino speaks to the media here in just a bit. There's been some rumors about Miguel Almiron. This is nothing new, but things have picked up a little bit. And is it just lots of hype? Is it agents talking? Is it stuff happening at teams as they're preparing what they're going to do in the winter transfer window? All of it's possible. I mean, Darren Eagles has been strangely silent, which is probably a good thing. His mouth can get him into some trouble. But the rumors coming out of England around Miguel Almiron, and let's go back to... it was probably in the summer, maybe even the last transfer window, where I don't think there was a serious threat of Miguel going. But Miguel's agent in Paraguay has given interviews and talked, and he's consistently brought up England. We've went around different places, and I'd love to see Miguel Almiron in Italy. I think the style of play, I think the tactics would really suit him well there. But the money's in England. I mean, this is not a surprise. The TV money in England is ridiculous. It's where all the bright lights and big stars are at the moment. So, you have rumors. We've had rumors to Arsenal, although they were made up by Darren Eagles, and we don't know what legitimacy there have been with anything about Arsenal. West Ham has come up. Yeah, he's a dicey one. West Ham has come up multiple times. And Tottenham has come up here lately. Tottenham makes a lot of sense. I mean, Mauricio Pochettino and Tata Martino are friends. Darren Eales knows some people at that club, so conversations would make a lot of sense with Tottenham. The best thing for Atlanta United would be a bidding war. That would be the absolute best thing here. If West Ham and Tottenham, and if Arsenal wants to throw their hat in the ring, great. If they're all trying to get Miguel Almiron and numbers just keep going up and up and up and up and up, that'd be a great thing. That'd be a wonderful thing for Atlanta United, because then they're going to make more money. And then the bar is going to be set even higher. And then more players from South America or other players who are looking for a chance to develop and have a big payday down the road are going to look at that and say, yep, that's the place to be. That's where I want to be. So it's rumor. It's innuendo at this point. It doesn't really mean anything yet. I don't think it's going to really mean anything until we get into December and we get closer to the transfer window. But all of this conversation, and especially some of the numbers that are being linked to it, it's a good development for the potential transfer saga of Miguel Almiron.
And you look at West Ham, and there is some South American flavor to it with Felipe and Lanzini and Carlos Sanchez. And then you get into other attacking players. You're looking at like a Jack Wilshere. And then up top, recently they lost Andriy Yarmolenko because of a torn Achilles. So he's out 6 to 8 months. And you've got also Chicharito, Arnautovic, Andy Carroll, so on, Lucas Perez, so on and so forth. So where West Ham is concerned, you've got that. And then there's also the idea of being at a team that would be in the European theater with Tottenham. But, once again, to your point, I think that bidding war is good for Almiron as an individual and also for the pedigree of what Atlanta United can put out there into the international theater for players. So what we've seen, 25 million euros as a number that was floated out there on social media yesterday.
I've seen that number. I've seen higher numbers linked to American dollars hitting into the 30s. So
33.
Yeah, 33 has been put out there. I mean, again, it's rumor. Doesn't mean those are actual real numbers, but they are much more in the ballpark of what you're looking for here. So the more talk that happens right now, I think it's good. I don't think there's anything wrong with what's going on right now. It means Atlanta United's being linked. It means Miguel Almiron's being linked to big clubs, and clubs are going to spend some money, and clubs that, I mean, you probably know better than I do. I don't watch the Premier League in depth, but West Ham, I think he would be a player that would be useful there and would play. Tottenham maybe is a little bit different conversation, but with Pochettino and him understanding the way Miguel Almiron's been used here and those links, you'd have to expect that Tata Martino has given Mauricio Pochettino the full breakdown. So I don't think they'd spend that kind of money on a player they don't have good plans for. So, is there anything better off between those two for Miguel as a player?
No, and I mean, I still have Newcastle in my hip pocket because they need scores like you wouldn't believe, and they're going to be in the relegation scrap. But I think that if you pin it down to Tottenham and West Ham would give him the opportunity to play more. Tottenham would give him the chance to be a part of a winning pedigree with Pochettino and playing in Europe as opposed to struggling to stay afloat.
Yeah, it's there's going to be more twists and turns. I wouldn't be shocked if there's more clubs that come in. I wouldn't be shocked if other countries' leagues get involved as well. I still think Spain or Italy would make some sense. France would make some sense if it's one of the top clubs. We'll see. But this conversation is great, and it's good for Atlanta United. It's good for the potential deal with Miguel Almiron. There's been other talk about Tata Martino and that whole saga. Tatacalypse, I think, is the official hashtag of it. I don't know. I think sometimes we're looking for things to get riled up about. I think the way it played out was probably the most comfortable way it could possibly play out. I think, according to... Let's go back and start trying to read between the lines here, working backwards. So Darren Eales made it clear that Tata Martino informed them that he was not going to accept the contract offer that Tata Martino talked about having in front of him. He said he wasn't going to accept it to the club on Sunday after the Chicago game. I mean, I guess it could have been Monday morning. We don't know, but somewhere in that ballpark after the Chicago match. And it was announced Tuesday morning at 9:45. Martino mentioned the contract offer in front of him, talked about the dates and the timing of all that. Yeah, it went a little bit further than October 1st. He said that he has not talked to other people. I don't know if people have talked to other people on his behalf. You would expect that feelers have been put out by somebody around it because, you have to. If you're going to accept an offer in a vacuum, you kind of need to know what else is out there. And even if you don't have details, even if you don't have offers, Colombia's out there, Mexico's out there, Argentina's out there, the U.S. is out there. And it sounds like Tata Martino would have liked to have been considered for that, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen, which is insanity to me. But anyway,
it's one word to use.
I think for some people, the fact that he is going to Mexico is upsetting, if that's what happens. And we don't know that for sure. But if he ends up in Mexico, I think for some people, that's where bad feelings are coming from. Look, Tata Martino's from Argentina. He's not from the United States. This is not Landon Donovan, which, cashed a check for a sponsorship commercial, which wasn't even that big of a deal. But anyway, this is Tata Martino, who has been in the United States for 2 years and a month or two. This is Tata Martino, who has made it clear that he would have liked to have been considered by the U.S. Soccer Federation, and it doesn't sound like he even was given a cursory conversation. There's nothing to feel weird about Tata Martino taking the Mexico job. He has no allegiance to the United States men's national team. None. Zero. Zip. So if that is what is getting people bent out of shape about Tata leaving, come on, guys. You gotta be legitimate here, and you gotta look at this with some real eyes, because he could go anywhere because he is that good of a manager. If Mexico is the federation that offers him, and according to the conversation out there, if they're offering him a lot of guaranteed years and a lot of guaranteed money, he'd be crazy not to take it. And there's nothing about feeling bad because it's Mexico and he's worked in the United States. That has nothing to do with it. This is the adult world. This is the big boy world of world soccer. He's not a former U.S. men's national team player. He's not a former U.S. men's national team coach. He has no loyalty to U.S. soccer. And he shouldn't, especially if he wanted to be considered for the U.S. men's national team job and they didn't even want to talk to him. And that could play into it. I think what plays into it is the fact that if the reported offers and talk about what Mexico wants to give him are true, that's a tough job to turn down. That's a really tough job to turn down. So I don't think there's anything to go on here to be angry at Tata Martino. I think this was handled very quickly. I think it was handled as cleanly as possible. The first rumors about Tata Martino not coming back to Atlanta United were on the day of the San Jose game. September 15th? Is that right? I don't have the calendar in front of me, but around there, mid-September. It was October 23rd when it was announced that he was not coming back. That's about as fast as you can handle a option extension being put in front of you, making a decision on it, seeing what else is out there, at least in general terms, making a decision, and then the club announcing it. That's pretty quick, guys. So I get it. We would all love to see Tata Martino continue in Atlanta. The stars didn't align for it. It didn't happen. I think if there weren't other amazing job opportunities out there, I think he would stay here because I think he's happy here. But to start saying that he didn't handle himself with, being professional about it and he handled it wrong, or I think we're reaching. And the Mexico part has zero to do with it. It could be anybody because Tata Martino has nothing to do with the U.S. men's national team. And that's the part. If you want to be angry at anybody about the way this played out, for me, that's where my upset feelings are pointed towards, is the fact that U.S. Soccer seems to have not even had a conversation about the possibility of Tata Martino managing the U.S. men's national team. Amen. That's the part that is inexplicable to me. There's no excuse. There's no explanation. If you have the conversation and decide to not make the hire, completely fine. If money's not right, if the level of control's not right, completely fine. No problem with that. We'll break that down because then that's a job decision and you get a hire right or wrong. That's fine. But to not even talk to this guy who has made it clear multiple times in media availability that he would be interested in the job. It's mind-blowing. And I have to really question the whole process for U.S. Soccer if they're not even going to consider a guy like Tata Martino. I don't care what language he speaks. I don't care about that. It's worked pretty well here. I think Jeff Larinowitz and Michael Parkhurst have understood him just fine. I think Andrew Carlton's talked about how much he's learned from him. Doesn't matter. Soccer, it's a universal language. We can stop with the language nonsense. And yeah, there's a completely valid question because it comes up about any national team, about having a national team manager from that country because they should understand the player better. But when you're looking at the possibilities for the U.S. men's national team, and it's Greg Berhalter, who, I've now it's like the revisionist history about Greg Berhalter's managerial career is getting out of hand. He's been to an MLS Cup. He's won about half of his games in Columbus. And he managed one season in Sweden and was fired because his teams weren't attack-minded enough. That's it. Peter Vermes has done more. Greg Vanney has done more. Jesse Marsch has done more. Tata Martino has done more. And Peter Vermes has talked about not getting a conversation. I don't think Vanney said anything on the record. It's been reported that Marsch has not had an interview or been talked to since back before Ernie Stewart was hired. And it sounds like nobody's talked to Tata Martino. So I don't know what the process has been. I don't know what the potential candidates are. I don't know what the short list is. But if there's anything that frustrates me about the whole Tata Martino leaving Atlanta side of things, it's that. It's that he has not even been a candidate according to U.S. Soccer. It's bonkers. You're putting a limit on yourself. You're saying, no, we don't even want to think outside the box. We don't even want to consider it. It was good enough going into World Cup 94 when we had Bora Milutinovic. That was okay. It was good enough to have a non-U.S. based person born in the U.S. in Jurgen Klinsmann. That was okay too. But now, it's not okay. It's a bad move by U.S. Soccer. You got to kick the tires on it at least. You got to have the conversation. And if you have issues that if you want to say, hey, look, I need you to be able to give press statements in English. I need you to work to that. If Tata Martino wants the job, then that would be part of the conversation. That's fine. But to say that it's a deal breaker at this point, come on. Players move around the world. Players play for different managers who speak all sorts of different languages. Teams on the field have people from 10 different countries. I see that here in Atlanta with teams that play that speak different languages, 3-4 different languages on the field in your local leagues. Come on. Stop this nonsense, U.S. Soccer. It's if you didn't want to be the guy trying to talk to somebody behind their back, well, now it's out in the open. Tata Martino is not accepting the option. He's not coming back to Atlanta. That statement went out at 9:45 on Tuesday morning. There should have been a call made at 9:46. So that's the part that I have a problem with. The fact that Tata Martino is leaving, he's got to do what's right for his career. If he goes to Mexico, it sounds like it's an unbelievable offer that would be hard to turn down for anybody. And just because Tata worked in the United States doesn't mean he has to do anything thinking about the U.S. men's national team, especially if they're not even going to give him the courtesy of a conversation. We're going to take a break and reset, and we'll get into some of your questions on the other side on Twitter at Soccer Down Here. We'll be right back.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
Living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
Had to be independent and take initiative, and that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by ATLvTOR Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Welcome back, Soccer Down Here. Short segment before the top of the hour. We'll have Doug Roberson from the AJC joining us in hour number 2 to preview Atlanta and Toronto, and we'll make our predictions then. A couple questions that have come up on the Twitter timeline, John, around the whole Miguel Almiron transfer, how things work. The Swixter has been heavily involved. He said, we paid something like $15 million for Miggy, and if we sell him for around $30, that pays for his potential replacement, Pity Martinez and Barco. Not quite. I've seen the roundabout and back and forth. I don't think we paid $15 for Almiron. The reports on this side were in the $8.5 million range. The reports out of Argentina were in the 11, I think even to $12 million range. I don't know how some of the payments, like potentially to agent, potentially to his former club, Cerro Porteño, who probably had a percentage of it. I don't know how that stuff was accounted for, so we don't truly know. But I never saw anything close to 15. I think the most I saw was 12. So it's semantics, but yeah. And there's been a lot of back and forth, and for people who haven't been involved in that conversation, when a big transfer like this happens, you recoup what you spent in transfer fee, you recoup what you've spent in salary for that player, you get that back off the top, then MLS takes a percentage, then you get the rest, and you can convert some of that rest to general allocation money. So for a designated player, it's not a giant deal, that allocation money side, I mean, it's a nice little bonus, but you're using it to get another designated player, which you can spend whatever for. So that's part of what you can spend that money on. When you sell a guy like Carlos Carmona, that's when that allocation money becomes really handy. And I believe Atlanta United's sitting on a decent chunk of allocation money right now due to some of the deals they made in the last offseason.
And in that same vein, Tafka says he feels like Spurs will be selling some of their midfield in the coming year or two. Room for Miggy? Question mark. Or am I crazy? No, not necessarily crazy, but I mean, once again, just remember there's always turnover in the Premier League. It just depends on what you're looking for when you're a manager. And Chewy at Thin Plot says Miggy would take Moussa Dembele's place. So that seems to be that would be a good drawing of a line from one place to another in all of this.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some questions about what happens in this transfer window. Whatever club Miguel goes to, is there going to be an open spot already, or other moves going to have to happen for that to work? Is it a situation where he's going to have to kind of fight for playing time? All of those factor into it, and I think they factor into the decision on the Atlanta side, because wherever he's where he's sold, you want it to be a place where he looks good, because that's only going to help Atlanta and MLS after the fact.
And there was, so Swickster again, as a part of his chain of thought. Additional thought, how are the DP rules affected if we sell Miggy to a stacked team such as Spurs, where he may not start but could be loaned back?
Yeah, this is something a lot of people have talked about. I don't think you're going to be able to pull that off, because that's game in the system. If you can, great. I mean, more power to you. I think MLS is not going to allow a situation where you would transfer Miguel Almiron out, get the money for him, then he would be loaned back, and you'd, I guess, try to make the accounting work to where he's loaned back on a where you can buy it down with allocation money, so he's not a designated player. I'm just assuming that since Major League Soccer can make their own rules and twist things and bend things and create things, that they would understand that is gaming the system and adding a fourth designated player. I'm just assuming. I would think it has come up. I would think it would not be allowed. If you can, hey, do it in a heartbeat. But I don't think that's going to be possible. I don't know if that's the best situation anyway, to be perfectly honest. I think when Miguel gets sold, he needs to go and play and integrate into that new team. I think coming back would not be the best situation. It wouldn't look great. I think he needs to go and be a powerhouse wherever he ends up. But we'll see. I mean, we've been down this road with MLS. Anything can happen, and new rules can be created, and new things can happen. I mean, we're talking about a small group of owners wanting to get rid of a third designated player. Who's to say they don't add a fourth just because that's what we're going to do? I don't know. We'll see. We're going to take a break, come back, top of the hour. More on Atlanta and Toronto on the other side. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Appolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Appolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star, and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
You're listening to Soccer Down Here daily on SDH Networks, a division of OSG Sports. Find us at Soccer Down Here on Facebook and Twitter. The time is now the top of the hour. Peep, y'all.
Hour number 2, Soccer Down Here, October 26th edition. Jason Longshore, John Nelson here with you at the moment. Jarrett Smith and Doug Roberson are waiting to speak to Tata Martino. Be on the lookout on their Twitter timelines, along with our friend Joe Patrick. I'm sure he's hanging around as well. Maybe Felipe Cardenas as well. So the whole gang might be there hanging out. They might be having their own show that we're not even hearing. But they will all be talking to Tata Martino and follow their timelines for any statements coming out of that. Let's talk Atlanta, Toronto. We've talked about everything else in MLS. We've talked about rumors and stuff. Toronto's lineup from their last match against Montreal. No Josie Altidore, no Victor Vasquez. We know both of them are out for this one. Backline, Ashton Morgan, Chris Mavinga, Vanderveer, and Auro. Vanderveer was brought in to be a right-sided defender or winger. He's been playing a lot of center back. That's not good. Midfield, Michael Bradley as your 6. Osorio, Delgado, Jay Chapman, who is more of a forward, playing in the midfield. Lucas Johnson, who came over from Argentina, and Sebastian Giovinco started up top. Lots of different faces in different places. Zavaleta came off the bench. Hagland was on the bench.
Telfer.
Yeah, but regulars. Telfer's not a regular at all. Telfer's more of a second-team guy. Toussaint Ricketts, who's been a substitute most of the season, came off the bench. John Baccaro, they brought over from Chicago. He's seen some time, but it hasn't clicked with him either. It's going to be a makeshift Toronto team. They played a lot of 3-5-2 last season and in the run-up to their MLS Cup success. They've turned to a 4-4-2 diamond at times. That's what it was in Montreal. Wouldn't surprise me to see that here. I think just mainly based off the people that they have available. So Bradley at the base of a diamond, some combination of Osorio, Delgado, and maybe Chapman, maybe Baccaro as your more attack-minded guy. 2 forwards. Janssen is trying to earn a contract. He's on loan from Tigre in Argentina. Giovinco, I'm assuming, would play. I haven't heard anything about a knock or any issues with him, so you'd expect that he would play otherwise. Backline, I'm a little surprised that Zavaleta or Hagland hasn't started with Mavinga. You've really missed Drew Moore. That's maybe been the most critical miss on injury that Toronto's had all season, because Drew Moore has been the leader of this defense. I don't think Mavinga is that guy. I don't think Zavaleta or Hagland are that guy either. Maybe that's why Vanderveer and Bradley have had time playing as a center back to try to organize. You haven't gotten a ton out of Auro, Morgan, your outside backs. It just has not been the same Toronto team. So, you have some questions as to what they're going to do in terms of lineup and shape against you, but this is a team, based off the lineup sheet you saw in Montreal, this is a team that Atlanta should be able to take care of. Even with a Giovinco up top, he's a great player, but he can't do everything himself. More importantly for me, the defense. And that's what Toronto kind of hung their hat on coming into 2018, and that's been the biggest issue this season, mostly due to injury. But also, you're seeing some players struggle, I think, under the pressure and under the adversity. A guy like Bono in goal, who was getting national team call-ups, and now it seems to be you're seeing Bono make key mistakes on a regular basis, John.
Is rattled a fair word to use?
Oh, 100%.
And it's, to be that way at this time of the year, it could not have happened at a worse time. And I think that if you can sit there and line things up and put pressure on him and have him overthink early on in the match in that first 20 to 25 minutes that I always like to focus on. If you get to the quarter pole and you're having Alex Bono think a lot, I think that's another part of this whole thing where Atlanta United can take advantage. I think that this is a game that they should win. I think it'll be tighter than what a lot of folks will think. The weather is supposed to be in the mid to high 30s in Fahrenheit, not Celsius. It's supposed to be a bit of an adventure out there at BMO, and we know what that turf can be like. So you have a lot of the intangibles, quoting Jimmy the Greek in column number 6. But this should be a game that, with all of those external factors going on in and around Toronto FC, this should be a game that should be handled.
So what are we going to describe this turf as? Chunky?
Yeah, that'd be the word.
Yeah, it's Sunday, looking at the AccuWeather forecast. During the afternoon, 45 is the high, 69% chance of precipitation. Cloudy, some morning rain and drizzle, shower in spots.
So you've got all that stuff coming off the lake with a 70%
winds about 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, so you got chunky turf, morning rain, grass, and chewed up pretty well on a normal basis. So this is just one where you put your blinders on, you put your head down, you sit there, and it's like, all right, we got stuff to do so we can get out of town, and that just get it done and get out. Get 2 goals on the board and get out of Dodge.
The sun will set before the final whistle. It's going to be an interesting afternoon at BMO Field in Toronto for Atlanta United. What are we do have questions about Atlanta's lineup, and we might get some answers from Tata Martino's media availability that's going on right around now. But who are some of the keys for you on the Atlanta side as we go to face Toronto FC?
Well, the back. Can I just go ahead and say Jeff Larenowitz, obviously. Big Red is a focus for me. Parkhurst is a focus. LGP is a focus because you look at Giovinco, you sit there and go, okay, I know firepower. So it's controlling that firepower and making sure that everything is stable at the back so you don't give them opportunities in transition. And offensively, I want to see how healthy Tito is and how he is positioned if he's good to go. Nagbe and Remedi in the middle to make sure that everything is under control because of all of the external stuff that I talk about. It's making sure that everything is calm in the middle of the pitch. And I think that you have a guy like Darlington Nagbe, who for me is kind of shaped up like one of the best offensive linemen that you could have ever had. I mean, he would be like the Outland Trophy winner every single year because of his stability and how much he isn't mentioned. And it's because of his fluidity of play. So I have probably 5 or 6 guys doing different things that I'm looking at for various reasons. So the triangle at the back, the folks in the middle, Villalba out wide.
I think you need to really run down this team's throat, and that's going to be the key question about Miguel Almiron and his availability because, we've talked about it all year. Michael Bradley has not been the Michael Bradley that we've seen in the past. He's not getting the same defensive help either from Osorio, from Delgado. It's just been shaky. It hasn't looked good. Playing in the 3-5-2, you had a partner with Bradley a lot of times. Right now, if you're in the 4-4-2 diamond, you're relying on Delgado and Osorio to carry a lot of play, especially without Vasquez helping on the attacking end. So it's going to be a challenge for him, and he is not a guy who can run with Miguel Almiron. He's not a guy who can run with Ezequiel Barco or Andrew Carlton either, in my opinion. So I think you have different options, but playing through the middle, and especially Darlington Nagbe finding the opportunities to step up and help whoever is in that creative attacking role is going to be key, because you're going to be able to create some 2v1s against Bradley. And, I don't think Bradley was ever great at handling 2v1s, but he's especially not now. And if you're playing a makeshift center back next to Chris Mavinga, that's another challenge. I mean, Vanderveel is a good soccer player, but he's not used to playing in that role. And when you've got a 2v1 in front of you, your natural instinct is to step up and go help. But then you're leaving Mavinga by himself to deal with Joseph Martinez and potentially a secondary runner. So you can create overloads in the middle of the park here. If Toronto's in their 4-4-2 diamond the way it's looked this season, you can create some pretty serious overloads. I don't see Toronto coming in defensively. I don't see them coming in with the instruction to Delgado, to Osorio, to sit deeper and kind of flank Bradley and turn it into a 4-3-1-2. I don't see that. I think they're going to try to play on the front foot here. I mean, why not? It's different if you had to have a result to get into the postseason, but you do want to keep Atlanta from scoring here, and you don't want to let them to break the record in your house, but I don't think you're going to do that playing a defensive game. I just don't see that out of Greg Vanney here. I think it's going to be a lot of opportunities for Atlanta to create overload situations in the middle of the field, especially against Bradley and against these center backs, and Atlanta can thrive in those scenarios.
Yeah, and that's I've never known Greg Vanney to be the bunkering type. So
not even bunkering. I mean, playing a 4-3-1-2, like, it doesn't have to be a bunker necessarily. It's just giving more support to your defensive midfielder and a guy who needs more support. I mean, we talked about it with the national team. Like, Bradley's a good passer. He's a good player in launching attacks and starting attacks. He's not Osvaldo Alonso. He's not Jeff Larentowicz. He's not that type of defensive midfielder. He needs to be paired up with somebody. But Toronto has generally tried to stick to this 4-4-2 diamond when they haven't played in the 3-5-2, and that's left Bradley more exposed. If they had somebody to pair with him that was more natural, I think it would make sense. But Osorio and Delgado are two guys. Osorio especially, he's had a great year, a great attacking year. He's a player Atlanta has to be very careful with. But his natural inclination is to go forward. Delgado is to play more forward. Maybe not quite as much as Osorio, but their natural instinct is not to sit. And you need somebody there to sit and help. Otherwise, you're going to be able to create 2v1s against Michael Bradley on Sunday. And that's where Atlanta can win this game, in my opinion.
No, I'm right there with you. I think that I would love to see. Do we have an offensive version of the Peachtree Press other than pedal down?
Well, that's what it is. The Peachtree Press is offensive.
Okay.
It's both. That's the whole thing about the press, is it creates the attack. So, yeah.
Okay, because I've just always considered something like that to be a defensive posture as opposed to something like that. No. A press is not defensive at all. I mean, it is a tactic using defense to create offense, but defensive tactics. But it is offense. I mean, for a team that can't generate their own attacks, and this is what Red Bulls does. They press. They press because they don't generally build up their own attacks. So the press is to create attacking situations. They just do it through defensive work and intensity as opposed to a playmaker and through balls and combining. So it's an offensive. It's an attacking tactic. Okay. See, this is why this show is my PhD when it comes to the sport.
Oh, some people would argue that about the pressing. Like, yes, you're defending and doing it, but you're defending up the field to create attacks. It's just how you create your attacks.
So, okay. So that's, like I said, this is why I'm part of doing all of this, so I can learn. And so this is my learning of the day.
Okay. Well, hopefully that helped. I don't know.
Okay. That's like I said. I have maintained that this show is my PhD class for soccer, and so
Look, I'm no professor. I'm not a profe. I like to try to break things down into ways that I think we can all kind of grab hold of and bring everybody along to the party, because I'm learning too. Everybody learns. That's what the beautiful thing about soccer is. At the heart of it, it's a really simple game. I mean, you got a big goal on either end, and you're trying to kick the ball into it. It's not rocket science. It's nowhere near as difficult to understand as American football or baseball or basketball, which is fairly simple. It's not that hard, but the tactics and everything that goes on around it on the field, you never stop learning because it always evolves. I mean, look at the Pep Guardiola revolution, and that's not even getting into all of the revolutions before that tactically, but what Pep's done in the last 10 years is mind-blowing for what he's changed the way people look at the game. But then the flip side is look at what a guy like Jose Mourinho has done, and he's had success doing it a completely different way. That's what's beautiful about soccer. There is no absolute right and absolute wrong. So, no, I am no professor in any form or fashion. I just like to try to dig into it and talk about what different teams are doing and how they're approaching the game, and we just go from there.
And on that note, let's go to commercial.
All right. We're going to take a break. We'll be back on the other side. We might have Jarrett Smith and Doug Roberson with us before the show is over. Chris McCann has just been speaking with the media here in the last couple of minutes, so timing might be a little tricky. Hang with us. We'll try to get those guys on before we're done. We'll be right back.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Appolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Appolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here. October 26th, a couple days away from Decision Day. Big day for Major League Soccer, big day for Atlanta United, where they can earn the first trophy in club history. A win guarantees it. Nothing Red Bulls can do if Atlanta beats Toronto and finishes with 72 points. That would be a new record for Major League Soccer, and it would be a Supporter Shield winning win in Toronto. We talked about Tata Martino and speaking English and all of these things. Tweet from Felipe Cardenas from Julian Gressel. And Felipe asked Julian how Tata Martino's English was. Gressel said, his English is better than my Spanish. His English is good. When he wants to get a point across in English, he can.
I bet.
Hello, Chicago. Hello, Soccer House. Hello.
Hello, action figures.
Yes, where are the GoBots in handling this? I think they should have made this happen. But anyway. Okay. So, what other things are out there in the big bad soccer world that you are thinking about this Friday morning, John?
Well, the one that came across our bow very early this morning, that La Liga apparently could go to CAS now that Gianni Infantino has rejected the idea of playing the game in the United States on January 26th.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of. I don't think there's ever been another league game played in another country. There's been cup games. You've seen like Super Cup games played, but there hasn't been a league match. And yes, I know everybody's going to say, "Well, Atlanta and Toronto." The United States and Canada are a different deal here because their league is joined together. It's like the Welsh teams who are separate FIFA members playing in England. So that's okay because that's approved at the top. This would be a completely different thing. I'm a little surprised that the line is being drawn in that way. I could definitely see arguments made to CAS. I don't think it's a good precedent to set. I really don't. For a Super Cup, I think it's great. And I think leagues should look at doing Super Cups in the United States or wherever they think they can make a lot of money on it, because that's a kind of competitive game. You know, the Super Cup is generally your league champ against your cup champion from the previous year, and it kicks off the season. So the Spanish Super Cup, have it in Miami, have it in New York, have it in Los Angeles, have it wherever you want, whoever's going to pay the most. Do it. The French have done that, I think, in Montreal here in the last few years. Have at it. Make that cash. But a league match, and you're taking a home match away from a team, and yes, it's probably going to be a smaller team that needs the payday that would give that up, but it's not a great precedent to set. So I'm not a big fan of the regular season match in the United States idea anyway. I think FIFA might have some problems making this stand up, though. I could easily see the argument in CAS looking at the United States and Canada, looking at England and Wales, and I believe France and Monaco would fall into that as well. There's probably a few others that you see this, but I don't know. I think it's a whole lot of stuff, and really, what does it mean? Not much. I'd keep it to Super Cups and play those in other countries, and that'd be it.
La Liga had announced they had agreed to a 15-year deal with Relevant to promote football in North America.
That's fine.
Apparently, Infantino spoke at a FIFA council meeting in Rwanda, and here's the quote associated with it. Following a request of guidance from the Spanish FA, U.S. Soccer, and CONCACAF, the council emphasized the sporting principle that official league matches must be played within the territory of the respective member association. The council has very clear views on that, end quote.
I'm fine with that. I mean, again, I think there's going to be debates about it. It goes to CAS. There's going to be a case to be had here, but I'm fine with that. I guess a league match is better than a friendly in terms of like how motivated I would be to go see it. I don't get too excited about all the friendlies. I'm not going to go drive a long distance to see a big friendly. It's just not something I get too worked up about. If it's your team and you don't get a chance to see them on a regular basis, I totally get it. A league match would be a bigger step up, but it's not a good precedent to set, because then you're going to have small clubs all over the world who sell their home games to play them outside of their own home market, because the club can make more money, sure, but then you lose that identity completely. So I don't like the trade-off. I don't like the Pandora's box it opens up.
And the other note, I guess, in the soccer over there block, apparently Antonio Conte has been cleared to coach abroad, and while it looks like Lopetegui will be around to coach Clásico, Real Madrid apparently have approached Antonio Conte.
I mean, the Clásico gives you your excuse to get rid of him. even though there were other excuses and other opportunities to do it. But This is, I guess this is the final countdown day. I mean, Europe's playing in the background, and we've got the band over there. They're hanging out. But, I mean, if they get a win, I guess he sticks around. If they lose, it's adios. And that would be one of the most shocking collapses of a managerial career we've ever seen. I mean, I can't think of anything to compare it to. Question from Shiva on Twitter, and this is a good one. How many of the 70,000 fans do you think are first-time soccer watchers? Talking about, like last weekend at the Benz. I would have said the first couple would have been a larger percentage than now. Obviously, I think some people, don't want to do season tickets, but when they get a chance to buy for the full stadium, they're coming back. I think a lot of people come, check it out, and then come back. I think that definitely happens. In terms of the 70,000 crowd versus the 45 to 50,000 crowd that's there on a regular basis, there is a difference. I think there is a big difference. I think the stadium has a little bit different feel when it is all the way full for a league game. Now, last year in the playoffs, it felt like a much larger regular season crowd in the soccer capacity, if that makes any sense whatsoever. When it's the big full stadium for a league match, you have a lot of people there, don't come on a regular basis. They don't know the traditions, the songs, the chants. And it has a little bit different feel, but it's getting better every time because I think people are coming back. And I think that's the key here is they hear the songs, they hear the chants, they want to join in. They've been there a few times, so now they're able to jump on board. It's just a different feel, and I think it's going to take time. I think it takes time for the full 70,000 crowd for a regular league match on a Saturday in June to sound like the more intense 45 to 50,000 crowd that's there week after week after week. It'll take time for that to happen where they're the same.
Colonel with a question about Miguel.
What's up, Colonel?
Was there a buy-on clause when Miguel was acquired?
Probably.
Buy on with a big money European club could be lucrative.
Yeah, this stuff doesn't really come out for sure. So, I mean, we're speculating. I would be shocked if Lanús did not have one. I mean, why else would you make that deal? The whole idea was for Miguel Almiron to come here, get noticed, and then go. I mean, that was the whole deal from the beginning. So Lanús would likely have it. I'd be curious to see if there was any way Cerro Porteño was able to keep any additional percentage. I know they received a percentage off of the deal from Atlanta buying him from Lanús. I wonder if they would be able to try to keep any percentage beyond that if they had any separate contract with Lanús. So, yeah, there's got to be some sell-on clauses. We just don't know to what degree.
And we have folks giving their predictions, and Sherbs is calling a Kratz free kick for the winner.
That'd be something. That would definitely be something. I would rather, well, if it's Kevin Kratz starting and hitting a free kick in the 15th minute for a winner, that'd be fine by me. That'd be fine by me. I'd like, because we're about to have a lot of stress in calling playoff matches, a lot of stress. I'd like for this one to not be too stressful. It'd be really nice if we get 2 goals in the first 15 minutes and win 2-0. I'd be completely fine with that. Please.
Slight request from the man in the color chair.
Please, begging. Just an easy one here. Yeah. It's gonna get rowdy, folks. But that's why you do this. That's why these guys play. This is what you want. This is why you guys love this team. This is why you want to be there for these matches and watch the game tomorrow, or watch the game on Sunday, watch the game on the 4th, wherever it may be, and then welcome them back for an Eastern Conference semifinal second leg at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We're going to take a break. Tata Martino is speaking to the media right now, so we will not have Doug in the next segment. We will try to get Doug for the final segment. If not, maybe we do a 1v1 or something with Doug early in the afternoon. So stay tuned. If we don't get them for the final segment, we'll go ahead and give you our predictions. But if you have any questions about Atlanta-Toronto, go ahead and send them our way now. We'll get into them in our next segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Appolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Appolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star, and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here, October 26th edition. Jason Longshore, John Nelson here with you. Doug Roberson is talking to Tata Martino right now, as is Jarrett Smith, as is everybody else in our Atlanta United podcast and Twitterverse right now. So that's happening on the 929 The Game Twitter account. Jarrett's got that Periscope up for you, so you can check that out on one side, and we'll still continue over here on the other. Artist formerly known as TLC has a prediction, 3-1, 2 goals for Joseph. Andrew Carlton with his first goal. Giovinco gets one in the 75th-ish minute, but the game isn't over by the 65th. Bring it. Man, can it be over early? Please, I'm begging. Well, Jay Riddle's trying to call in, but he forgot that we're not on Blog Talk Radio anymore, and that's just funny.
I know. I saw that. I'm like,
come on, Jay Riddle.
Come on. We have. Remember, we changed. We're the same, but we changed.
Come on, Jay Riddle.
So things are slightly different.
Jay, hit me up if you have a Skype account and you want to jump in real quick. So there you go.
Yeah. See, there you go. Yeah.
But Blog Talk, not happening.
How it's done. No.
Yeah, we're not getting the random calls that John would try to answer, and there'd be nobody there, and we'd be going through this round and round and round. And then the prank caller guy that one time.
Yes, that dude who got completely and totally banned and tracking numbers.
You would have answered it again if he had called back.
Well, because it was a call. You're trying to sit there and be there for the people. And, I give people the benefit of the doubt, but I think 38 times of answering in sequence, and then finally the guy's number pops back up. I'm kind of done.
Yeah, there was that. There was definitely that.
Yes. Rumor out of Vancouver. Not really it's like one of the ones that we pretty much figured, but Marc Dos Santos.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't get Marc Dos Santos, they've got some problems. So that's why they fired Carl Robinson when they did, because they got worried that Dos Santos might go to San Jose instead. San Jose trumped Marc Dos Santos with Matias Almeida, which is it's a bigger name, bigger hire, I think. And now Vancouver, J.J. Adams of Sportsnet is reporting that Marc Dos Santos could be the next manager of the Whitecaps. So stay tuned there. Reportedly, Almeida will be making $1.5 million per year. That's what some of the Mexican media is chiming in with. A couple other bits here. The Red Bulls, Daniel Royer, Kamar Lawrence, good to go for Sunday. Mark Szatkowski is day-to-day with a calf strain. He's been a great pickup for them. I've been really impressed with him every chance I've seen the Red Bulls. Here's a number that surprised me a bit. There were 5 teams that changed managers last offseason. 3 of them are going to miss the playoffs this season. New England, San Jose, Colorado. Montreal is probably going to be the 4th of the 5. Okay, so San Jose already made a change from their change. New England is not making a change on Brad Friedel. Colorado, I don't know if they haven't by now. I don't know if they're going to on Anthony Hudson. Montreal, I don't think they should on Remy Gard. But you make 5 changes and 4 of the teams still miss the playoffs the next year. That's not a good look.
No, and you're getting into having to do deep dives as to what they're thinking and the hiring process and what they're looking at in individuals. And it's disappointing because when you have these franchises, I know that New England is kind of in an island all of its own, being out there in the middle of nowhere, halfway between Providence and Boston. But with San Jose's history, Colorado's history, having these franchises that have been around for a while, I think they're better. I think the league is better when you have the established franchises doing well in addition to the newer, younger franchises. And it's just disappointing that you see them go down this road consistently.
It's been a while since we've had this guy on the show. I don't think he has a 5 TIL for us, but associate producer emeritus Jay Riddle is on the line. What's up, Jay?
Hello. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah.
Excellent. Skype for the win.
I
forgot it was a dedicated number for Blog Talk Radio. Like I just had it in my contacts, so I was like, oh.
I love that you had the Soccer Down Here Blog Talk number in your contacts. That's amazing.
Yes.
I'll pour out a little bit over here on the side for Blog Talk Radio. They were good to us, but Spreaker has been a big improvement and a little bit better quality on the audio, so we have to go Skype.
Much better audio quality. So
thank you.
I don't know if you know this, but I was in New Orleans this week. So I figured I would drop by a voodoo priestess that I know and see, what she could do for us. And it was pretty weird. We did the Ouija board thing and it spelled out NGSU. So that's all I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
How is the NGSU universe going? You have a new video coming up after this one, I'm assuming?
I think I'm holding my energy for the playoffs. So I think, of course, when we do win the Shield, which of course we will on Sunday, then that'll just pump me up with even more energy to get something put out there for the playoffs. So I think the momentum will get kick-started with our first trophy.
So we didn't ask you this, Jay.
Oh, go ahead, John.
Just what's it been like for everybody to embrace NGSU and the videos and everybody who's contributed to all these kinds of things? And, obviously Julian has shouted out to you and things like that. What's it been like to see the videos take off the way that they have?
Yeah, surprising. For one thing, I just started to learn how to edit video maybe a little earlier this year, and that was like little short videos. So it was a process for me. It took me a long time to make the first one I did, and then the second one, which included the other supporters. Also still took quite a long time, but at least I had ramped up and started to really get a feel for how to make these things. To be honest, I actually got the idea for including other supporters from someone on Reddit who messaged me. Her name's Cassie, and she reached out to me and said, "Hey, I really want to get involved with this. If your next video, can I send you a video of me, doing it or lip syncing?" And I said, "That's a great idea." And that's when I opened it up. And she was the one that was on at MARTA, basically coming back from the game. She recorded it the night before I published it. So I packaged that like at 1 a.m. and put her stuff in there before I put the video out. So very cool response from everybody. It's been a lot of fun. I just thought the extra bonus or the cherry on top was just Mike Conti's story of how, the song relates to him and sports and getting him juiced up. So that was just a cool aspect of it as well.
I love that this fan base is so weird, and we have a song weird in the best of ways, because we're pulling out an 80s Starship song for an anthem of some sort. We have Santa, a reverend, a pope, all kinds of other characters, an alien who appears in the stands at all times. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It is wild, and in case for people, if you don't know these, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us videos. Sure. I picked the song when it started was after the San Jose win, that epic win. And I can't remember the gentleman's name who was on the field with the digital team that recorded all the hugging and just
believe that video goes credited to Mikey. Mikey Alfano gets credit for that one.
Okay. So that video, that silent video, and obviously there are certain restrictions that.
Well, no. Do you want? No. I'll break the fourth wall in this one. Mikey captured that video and was incredibly proud of it. He had to take the sound off of it because there were lots of things that were said that could not be broadcast. So it was rather animated.
Yeah, and also, if they wanted to add, they threw that up very quickly. Almost immediately after recording it, so they didn't have time to package it with music or anything like that.
That was from a bus.
I don't know if yeah, exactly. So, I just, in my typical way, I just took it and I actually had reached out initially and said, I tweeted out and said, this needs some background music. What would be good background music? But I'm impatient. So after 5 minutes, I don't think I got any responses. Well, of course, it was only 5 minutes. So I went ahead and actually.
And it was 1:15 in the morning.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. So I went ahead and just picked that song, and I don't know why. It's just the first thing that popped in my head. And then after that, I made some video, the initial video, NGSU, but the idea, like I said, to include other supporters, that came from other people. The rest of it was completely organic, right? I could have put out a video and it just died on the vine, because, sure, people enjoyed watching it, but when you get people that start adding the hashtag to their tweets or reaching out and wanting to contribute or participate and be weird with me, that is pretty tremendous, because you're trusting this guy. Like, I'm a stranger. I never met Cassie at the time. I just met her at the last tailgate in person for the first time. And you're trusting me with your image and often your voice, because some people didn't just lip sync. Some people sang with it. So nice. You're trusting me with this, right? This raw package that you're sending me, and trusting me to make it, look good. And this guy who just learned how to edit videos. So I thought that trust was extra special to me, that people trusted me to do right and make it look good. So
it's been a wild year too. I think you're only going to see more stuff, continue to develop over time with this fan base. It's special, and it's been a wild ride. So we're about to go to break. Jay, I need to get a prediction from you for Sunday.
So I think we're going to get a brace I think Joseph's going to get a brace in the first half. And then I think we'll hold on. Oh, what is that? Oh, cool. I think we'll hold on to the very end, and we'll get a clean sheet. 2-0.
Do you have a boombox that you walk around with now? and that song plays on a regular basis?
Like, say anything.
Yeah, I actually have a mannequin in the corner holding up a boombox. So
excellent. Yeah, you got to have a boombox. You got to go to a Goodwill store and find like a 1980s boombox and carry it around at the next tailgate.
Absolutely, I'll work on that.
Nice, Jay. Thanks, man. Thanks for joining us.
All right, guys, take care.
We're going to take a break. We'll come back, wrap everything up. Maybe we get a bonus quick appearance from Doug or Jarrett. Probably not. We'll give you our predictions on the other side. Stay with us.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky and Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Appolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Appolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Final segment, Soccer Down Here, Friday, October 26th. Party was crashed by Jay Riddle in the last segment.
Now that he's got our phone number.
He's got our Skype accounts, so we're all in trouble now. But we did find this guy. Jarrett Smith is back with us. What's up, Jarrett?
Just out here trying to follow up Jay Riddle.
That's impossible. Don't hold yourself to that kind of a standard, but you do have some news because you were on hand at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground, and people said things. What were some of the highlights?
Yeah, so we spoke with Gressel, McCann, and then Tata gave pretty much a Theodore Roosevelt-esque speech. Remember, this is a president who was once shot in the chest, but the bullet didn't hurt him because the speech he gave was so long that when folded upon itself, it formed a version of Kevlar. So Tata spoke for about 20 minutes, if not a little bit more. Everything for Tata was a personal decision. Had nothing but positive things to say about Atlanta, Atlanta United, the fan base, the facilities. It was just a personal decision, and said this feels like one of his longest tenures he's had at any place. So shame to see him go, but I think we all feel that way right now. But he said it was all personal, and right now he's just focused on Toronto. Answer questions about all of this stuff, but in his mind, I think he is zeroed in on this Toronto game, and he's gonna have a selection of guys available. If you haven't seen it break on Twitter yet, had a number of journalists there this morning, so you may have seen it. If you haven't, Miguel Almiron this week. We did get there. Miguel Almiron's out there running in the rain, full Ernest Hemingway style. Out there training before everyone else doing laps in the rain, but he will not be available. Tito Villalba, however, will be available. So the Toronto FC killer will have a chance to strike again. Remember, he scored twice in Toronto last year in that 2-2 draw up in Toronto, filling in for Joseph Martinez up top because Toronto decided they didn't, want to stop the guy who can run past everyone. Elsewhere on the injury front, it will be Romario Williams will be available. However, Brandon Vasquez will not be available. So take that information, make your starting 11s in your head, then look and wonder where you went wrong when your starting 11 doesn't match what Tata puts on the field. Yeah, that's about the takeaway from it. Nothing major from the players, just kind of having just the right mindset, I think, right now for this sort of game. With as big of a game as it is, and especially a guy like Gressel, as young as he is, talking about this is his first chance for hardware. And I think for Chris McCann, this is right. This might be right in his wheelhouse, if we're being honest. Cold and rainy might be in the Irishman's wheelhouse, who spent most of his career in England.
What he said. And let's see. So we're looking for predictions from everybody. We've gotten some predictions in, and Tafka TLC has his starting XI out. He's got Joseph and Tito up top, Bello, Barco, Gressel, Nagby, and he's got Remington, LGP, Parkey, and Escobar. He says Carlton comes in for Tito. Garza gets 20 minutes. Larry for Barco in the 85th. Shiva has a 2-2 draw.
You left up
has been the well, of course.
Yes.
The 2-2 draw is a pretty safe prediction because every time these teams have played, it's been a 2-2 draw, which is just crazy.
Yes. And then Tafka TLC says 3-1 Joseph with a brace, Carlton with his first. So Gio gets one back in the 75th-ish. Game isn't over, but the game is over. There's an N in there. I guess he was typing quickly. The game is over by the 65th minute. Bring it! !
Yeah, I want it to be over earlier. That's what I'm hoping for. Could it be over in 5 minutes?
Less stress would be great.
That would be outstanding if that was possible. Jarrett, your prediction for Sunday.
So I'm going to break the mold, but not entirely break the mold. I think it's a 1-1 draw. This is Toronto's Super Bowl. Before I left at the beginning of the show, as I bookended this show very nicely, the comments from Zavaleta and the comments out of Toronto, look, there's still a lot of tension, I think, from the last game, and it's going to be on both teams to be emotionally stable. I think this gets chippy early and has some really chippy moments throughout, but I think it plays out to a 1-1 draw. I think Tito continues to terrorize Toronto, as he is wont to do. Tito gets on the score sheet, and I'm not even going to try and predict Toronto because I don't even know who's going to play. Half their team might end up on the bench and looking like a cartoonish IR before it's said and done. But I think it plays out to a 1-1 draw, and Atlanta is left hoping that Orlando can do the impossible. And narrator's voice of Orlando is not going to do the impossible.
Orlando's not going to do anything. If Orlando doesn't injure themselves, that would be an accomplishment. They're going to get blown out by the Red Bulls. Just don't even think about it.
It might turn into the only entertaining part about that game is if Orlando turns it into a gladiatorial combat, which is within the realm of possibility. That's about where I'm drawing the line on terms of what could or could not happen.
Yeah, I mean Sasha Kljestan might want to fight people. That might be about it.
He'll fight them with his mustache.
Yeah, that could work. All right, prediction, John.
2-1, Joseph and Tito. I think Gio gets one off a set piece. And nervy moments at the end, but Atlanta gets it done.
Okay. All right. This is going to be a tough one because Toronto does have... I mean, they do have something to play for here. And... they did not really leave anything on the field in Montreal. It was bad. I expected them to be up for that game in a bigger way. And it was just a poor performance all the way around. The Zavaleta quotes are interesting. The Vanny quotes are interesting. It tells you that, yeah, there's going to be some fight in this team. The thing for Atlanta is to not let that fight grow, because you can have all the fight you want. When you're a bad team, you get found out by better teams. Atlanta's a better team. Atlanta United 2018 is a better team than Toronto FC 2018. Honestly, I think Atlanta United 2018 is a better team than Toronto FC 2017. I think they're a more explosive team. I think they can hurt you in more ways. I think they have a better roster, and I think it's a better team. And if they want to prove that, the way you prove it is winning this game and taking the Supporter Shield and taking the record by yourself and writing yourself into history. There's a coach who worked a little bit south of us who his former program had a big night last night, and he had a quote. Irk Russell said, "Winners always have a bad case of the wants." Atlanta has to go in and want this game. I think they do. I think what you said, Jared, about Gressel wanting that hardware, what Darren Eales said on Tuesday night about this trophy having more meaning to Atlanta United because it is the Supporter Shield. Atlanta is what it is because of the supporters. For that first trophy in club history to be the Supporter Shield, that's kind of special. That's kind of perfect. So I think they go in with, according to Irk Russell, a bad case of the wants. And they go in and get this done. And they get it done with some flair and with a statement. I think they go in and control this game and take care of business in a pretty controlling way. I think it's I'm going to go 3-1. I think Toronto finds one kind of late, garbage time, but Atlanta takes control of this early and is leading comfortably at halftime, maybe 2-0, and sees it out. I think this is where Atlanta United shows that they are for business, they are for real here, and they put that gauntlet down like Kansas City did last week in Dallas, where Kansas City showed everybody that they are the class of the Western Conference. I think Atlanta United in this one, in bad conditions, on a sloppy field, I think they go in and show that they are the class of Major League Soccer in 2018 and take the Supporter Shield.
This team is fascinating to me, this Toronto team, because, yeah, they kind of looked listless last week. And then leading into this game, I expect them to go full bore. It would be the second straight game of that, where they came into Atlanta earlier this season, and a lot of comments before, during, and after that game about how we're not dead yet, and Atlanta's not going to take our mantle. They got up for that game. You have the red card, but then they just kind of seem to list off again. They're able to get up for. They seem to be able to get up for Atlanta, but they can't seem to maintain it right now, where they're pouring everything they have into this game, into their Atlanta matches, and then everything around it just kind of seems to suffer.
Bad teams can talk themselves into things. I mean, straight up. Toronto in 2018 is a bad team. They've had a ton of injuries. They have excuses for why they're a bad team, but they're a bad team. You can talk yourself into something for a while, but quality comes out. It does get, your lack of quality, your lack of ability will get discovered. And in that match in Atlanta didn't put Toronto away. This is the time that I think they do. This is the time that I think that trophy and taking it in their house from them is that motivation for Atlanta United, along with the Tata Martino news. I think that does factor into it. I think it gives this season that last rallying cry to win this and send Tata out on a high. Tata Martino talked about when he came to Atlanta, maybe he was having a bit of a crisis of confidence. He had as close as you can be, and I've seen people trying to throw shade on it. Like the guy was second in La Liga with a Barcelona team that he didn't get a full preseason with. He took over right before the season started. He took Argentina to back-to-back finals in the Copa America and lost on penalties. I think he needed to go find some success, and he's built something very special here, and it will always be seen as such. But to quiet some of the loud talking, not locally as much as it is nationally, about what is the legacy that Tata Martino leaves for Atlanta, it's an epic legacy. But taking the Supporter Shield with a record-setting season would shut all of that up. And it would show that Tata Martino has been one of the best managers to ever set foot in Major League Soccer. And I think his players understand that, and they want him to be recognized in that way.
We don't have the Taylor Twellman drop in the system, do we?
No.
Well,
why you got to do that, John? Seriously, man, it's like the last minute of the show, and we're talking about Atlanta United winning trophies, and now you want to go and talk about U.S. Soccer not even having a conversation with Tata Martino, which we knew that was the case, and now we're going to end on that. We're not going to end on that. No, we're not ending with stupidity from U.S. Soccer. If they're going to screw this up, well, we're not going to end on it. If they want to screw that up, that's on them, and they're going to have to answer to it, whether it's Greg Berhalter, Jay Berhalter, Ernie Stewart, Dan Flynn, whoever's making the decision, Carlos Cordero. I don't know who's making the decision. I don't know who it is. I don't know if Ernie Stewart even has any say. It doesn't matter. They screwed up by not considering Tata Martino, and if he goes to Mexico and cleans the U.S.'s clock for a few years, well, then people are going to get fired. And they're going to have to answer for that. What matters is what's in front of Atlanta United right now. Because that's all Tata Martino can control. That's all he can control right now is winning Supporter Shield. And that's what matters going to Toronto. This game has a lot of meaning for Atlanta United. And
get a start?
It depends on what he can give you. I don't know. I don't know if he can give you 60 minutes. I don't know if he can give you 75. I think you really need to find a way to get him on the field at a minimum, depending on what he's got for you, just because he would be useful in the postseason, and you'd like to know going into an Eastern Conference semifinal if you can count on Greg Garza. But I don't know what he's got in the tank right now, so I can't say if he starts or not. He's been training for a good while, so if he's able to give you 60, I would start him. But the fact that he wasn't able to give you that last week is a bit of a concern.
Time for a little stoppage time.
Okay, what do we have in stoppage time?
Broadcast plans. What are you guys doing?
Let's see. So starts today. I'll be on Dukes and Bell on 92.9 at 2:40. We'll have lots to talk about there as we get ready for the match. Then Sunday, it is a very early flight up to Toronto. It is a 6:10 takeoff to very cold Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And we will be on the air at 4 o'clock on 92.9 The Game. You can listen on radio. You can listen on the radio.com app. You can listen on the Atlanta United app. You can listen on Sirius XM FC as well. They will have the full pregame coverage starting at 4 o'clock. Game will kick off just after 4:30, and then we'll have an hour of the full-time report following the final whistle, where we'll talk about what happened, if there is anything in regards to trophy presentations or trophy conversations. We will do everything possible to bring all of that to you in the best way we possibly can on the road. It's a huge day. It's a huge day for Atlanta United. It's a day that I kind of like the way it works out because, okay, you have a chance to go put yourself into history. You have a chance to win a trophy, and that's why you play. So you have that chance, but it is not the final trophy. So you have a chance to learn from this no matter what happens. Either that you can do it and you are the best team in the league, and now that target gets even bigger on your back, or what went wrong, and you get a chance to make up for it in the MLS Cup playoffs. So It's the best of both worlds, but this is a team that this is what you've been built for. You got to go take care of business in Toronto.
Don't forget, everybody, go to the Bailey Daily, JBailey86 on Twitter. Vote for what you think is going to happen for the end result. Thanks to our sponsors here so far in the regular season, Appolinsky and Associates, Jason Wright and the Jason Wright Agency, and our friends at Country Financial. We know that the Fantasy League is coming down to cases. So we can't wait to hear what happens with the end of that, since none of the three of us made it into the sprint to the Nextel Cup. So we're waiting to hear what happens with the end of that. Go watch out in public. Go support the team at all the favorite haunts, because I know that there's a lot of things going on. I think that the Marley House is doing a 3-on-3 tournament associated with our friends at the Factions, starting I think at 10 a.m. And so there's stuff there. So go out, wear your colors, be supportive, and be there ready to watch and watch everybody else at the same time. So it's going to be a very, very big, very, very busy last day of the year, Decision Day 2018. So it's going to be fun, folks. Enjoy it, and don't pull out too much of your hair.
It's an NFL Sunday. The Falcons have a bye week. I think sports bars in Atlanta are going to have some confusion when they see lots of people coming in red and black stripes and white and peach kits demanding that the game is turned on Fox Sports South. Our friends Kevin Egan, Dan Gargan, Jillian Sakovits will be on TV for you guys. Mike Conti and I will be on radio for you. Can't wait. This is why this club has put so much into it. This is why they're the most ambitious club in U.S. soccer history, and this is why they've spent the money and brought the people in to win a trophy in year 2. And that is out there for them with 90 minutes to go in Toronto. That's it for stoppage time. That's it for the week of soccer down here. Thanks to everybody for listening. Much, much appreciated. Thanks for downloading the app, too. The numbers have been very, very good on the app side of things. So thanks, everybody. Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha plata, y'all. Enjoy Decision Day.